Hey y'all, hi, howdy, how are ya? Welcome back to Creating Hanley. I am the Hanley at Creating Hanley. You can call me Kim. So, I have another episode of these trash bin shreds, crumb blocks here, crumb squares. So, they are 6 inches by 4 inches. And the reason I did not make them perfectly square is because I took a dryer sheet, and this spent dryer sheet, when I cut it in half, is approximately 4 by 6. So I wanted to match the same size with these. Now this is not dryer sheet. This is Pelon. It is a fusible mid-weight. So I have the package here. Fusible mid-weight. I don't know if you can see that number, is 931TD. Pelon 931TD. Fusible mid-weight. And I cut these squares into 4 by 6s. And it's only fusible on one side. So this side, the rough side, is the glue side. And the soft side is just the interfacing. Smooth. No glue on that side. So you don't have to pick, I just picked this up on sale. It was a remnant and I just got it just to have in my stash. So I did not buy it specifically, but I just had it. So I'm going to use it. But we're going to continue our crumb blocks. And I'm not using the dryer sheet today. We're going to put this aside for our other dryer sheet project. So, for example, our dryer sheet project is all these squares, these blocks. Okay, so we're adding these up, right, folks? We're adding these up. I have 44. How many do you guys have? So I just put them in my little fabric bin here. So I just do that. Keep them all nice and organized, and I number them. So today we're going to just set those aside, and today we're going to work on the fusible. Now I'm calling this one Bird's Nest because I'll show you why. Well, first thing, I got my big, you can kind of see through the side here, I got my big pillowcase full of shreds. And that's what we are using today, shreds. So I want to use green. So I'm just, reaching in here and I'm pulling out these shreds of green. So let me draw the camera over this way to show you guys. So I'm just looking through, and you can see these are shreds. This is throwaway stuff. This is actually trash. So that's why I'm calling this the trash bin crumb quilt block, because it is really, you can't really do anything with this. Except for today, we can. So I'm just going to reach in here and see if I can find any green, because we're doing green today. And I kind of know where I did my Irish quilt and where I did my Christmas quilt. So I'm just reaching in here and trying to pull out shreds, right? Trying to pull out some green, green shreds. So, it has a little bit of red in it. This has a little bit of brown in it. That's okay. We can cover that up. This is probably too much red. Red and green, yeah. That can go back in here. Anyway, that should be enough for now. So, we'll just set this aside. Now, if y'all have a pillowcase like that or some kind of bin, maybe you have a plastic bin that you keep. Now this is where I keep my fusibles, but maybe you have a see-through bin that you can see how many shreds are accumulating. That's helpful too. Plastic is probably better than fabric because fabric will cling all those threads and fibers, and then it tends to make a mess. So we're going to take our 4 by 6 and we are going to make sure that the glue side is up. So make sure those dots, the rough side, the dots, the glue dots are facing up. And then, for a little added protection, just take some glue stick and just glue right over top of this. So just take your glue and right over top, maybe like the corners and the edges for sure. And then find these really small, teeny tiny pieces and glue them to the edges. And that way you are assured that the edges of your foundation is covered. Here comes my cat. And then we can throw on top. We can throw on top the what I'm calling bird's nest today. Okay. So I'm just taking these pieces and I'm just randomly placing them down. No rhyme or reason, just kind of covering the edges, covering the corner. Okay. Now this has a little fringe on it. Maybe I'll put the fringe to the outside. And this is kind of a gold sort of a piece that can go there. And then maybe I can throw the red over there, cover it up with maybe that green piece right there. Green piece. Throw that on there. So basically I just want to cover up the edges right for now. Okay? So I'm covering up the edges. And then for our, what I'm calling bird's nest, now I'm going to take you over to my, see over here? I found this pile of shred. This is just shred, pile of shred. I'm just going to take this pile of shred and place it smack dab right in the middle of that. I'm not even putting any colored fabric right on the inside here. I'm just placing this shred, just like a bird's nest, right down on there, right? So maybe I'll take a little bit more. Look at this long piece. I'll just throw this right on top of here. Just like that. Just like a bird's nest. That might be a little bit too much, but you want to make sure that you cover the bottom there so that none of the fabric or the foundation shows through. So you want to make sure that everything is covered. And of course you glued it so you can pat this down to see if what sticks. Now some, it's just too long or too much like this. I can pull all that up. And if I want to, I can cut some smaller pieces off of it. Yeah, smaller pieces and throw them on here. So you can always do that. And there we go. And I think that'll work. This will be just enough. Now, if you look at this and you see your white foundation showing through and you do not like that, maybe take some of these bigger shreds and place them down on the bottom. And if they need cut, then you just cut them to size, whatever size you think you might need, and cover it with the glue. Cover where the glue is. And then see if that works a little bit better for you. There you go. And then we have our bird's nest trash bin crumb quilt block right there. Okay. Now we're going to take this over. That's good enough for me right there. Now I'm going to take this over to the machine. And with a very slow stitch, I'm just going to start right in the center. Very slow stitch. Now you can see my, maybe you can see, push this back to maybe where you can see. My presser foot curves up, which is great. That's what I wanted to do. I do not want it to catch on these loops. However, if they do, I just stop, lift the presser foot up, maybe place this down in a position that I want, might be better position, and then continue to go. Super slow. And again, stop. If a loop comes up and catches your presser foot, just readjust it, and then place it back down, and continue sewing. Now, if that loop continues to get stuck, you can cut it. Simple, just like that. Just cut that loop. I'm going to speed it up a little bit here for you. Now I'm not going to break my thread when I come off the edge of the foundation. I just spin it around, release the presser foot, spin it around, and this little piece fell off, so I'm going to put that right there. Spin it around, and then maybe go over about a 1/2 inch and start a new line. Now, I'm just doing straight lines. I'm just making squares. You can do meandering lines. You can do a pattern if you want. You can do whatever works for you. You can do zigzag. I'm just doing straight line, a straight stitch, and in a straight line. That's all I'm doing. Nothing super fancy. And I'm trying to keep these little shreds with the color side up. However, I'm not succeeding on all of them. They are, now this one is a loop. I can release that. And as I release that, now the color side pops up. And that's a little bit better for color-wise. So feel free to do that. You can always trim. This is, like I said, this is a bird's nest. It's just a jumbled, kind of a jumbled mess. So just throw it down. And now be very careful when you're doing this with your fingers so close to the needle. Do not sew your fingers. Okay. And then go over to the next row and do whatever works best for you. Just be careful, be very mindful. And you can do this with kids too, but just be mindful of where their little fingers are and how fast they're going. Okay, and then sew off the edge, and I have not cut my thread yet, so I'm going to take it to the other end and sew straight down. And again, this is flipped up, so I'm going to flip it over, the color side up. Try to get as much color to the top side as possible, because even though the back side is green, the top side is much more colorful. There we go. Again, being very mindful of where the needle is and where your fingers are. Be very mindful. And then as the rows become more tamped down, you can maybe go a little bit faster with your needle. Again, being super mindful of where your fingers are. And then some sections might not be sewn down yet, so just stop, readjust. Go to the speed that works for you. And then when this happens, just trim. So the loop of the fabric got caught over top of my presser foot. You just trim it off. Just release that. Just release that loop and then readjust it so that it goes in more of a pattern that you want. There we go. And then we sew it all down so it stays in place. Sweep it around. I got one more row to do here. Fantastic. Now this one's just kind of hanging out in Nowheresville, so I'm going to place this right there. There we go. Fantastic. Now I come around to the edge here, and I have not done this quadrant yet, so I'm just going to do a straight line down in this quadrant. And again, spin it around so you guys can see how this works. It's not rocket science. Just be very mindful of where your needle and where your fingers are. Try not to, get your fingers caught in the way. If a thread or a piece of fabric gets wrapped around your presser foot, just stop, release the fabric, and you can cut it. Not a big deal. And then keep going. And there we are. And now when I look at the back, I've created a complete grid. So when I look at the front, everything is tamped down, sewed down. And then when I shake this out, I always do my shake test. You know, I always do this, kind of rough it up a little bit. And I see not much here. So if I sweep this off, here's my shake test. This is all that came off of it. That right there. So that's what you want. You want this to be nice and secure. And now that we have done this, our little bird's nest, we take it over to the presser table. So right on over here, presser table. You can take your press cloth down on top of that if you have one. And I highly recommend that because you do not want glue on the bottom of your iron. And then you just press down. So you take your press cloth because you don't want that to happen. Definitely not. Okay? So your press cloth, and you can hold it down for about 10 seconds or so. I'm going to clean that little fuzz up. And then over here, make sure all four corners are heated up. And then voila, there you have it. And then I do another test again to make sure that nothing's falling off. I mean, you can really see I'm like scrubbing that. Yep. And then nothing really fell off. Just a little bit of fuzz. And that's it, guys. And that is our bird's nest trash bin fabric shred crumb block. So there you go. We're going to make a couple more of these. 12 of these. Doesn't matter what color. It could be all colors. I happen to do color blocks, you know, colorways. This happens to be green. You can have it all kind of colors, whatever you want. So we're going to make 12 of these, and 12 of these will make a tote bag. So this is going to be in a project, okay? So I have 9 done. This makes 10. So I'm going to do 2 more. Is that right? Yeah, 10. 2 more for 12. 12 of these 4x6 blocks. And I'm still debating whether we should sash in between these or just attach them all together. I'm still debating on that. But in the meantime, while I'm debating on that, make 12 of these, and then we're going to make a tote bag out of this. Okay? Sound like a plan? Oh, I'm going to love it. We're going to love it, guys. We're going to love it. All right. I'll see you on the next video. Stay tuned. Thanks for playing along. I always say that. Thanks for playing along. We'll see you on the next video. We're going to make this tote bag, all right? So, for the tote bag, you might need some material for a strap. And you will probably need more interfacing, like a thicker, maybe a fleece type interfacing. So, but on the next video, when we actually put together the tote bag, I'll tell you what exactly you should need. Like what, how much, and what the codes are and such. Okay? All right, folks. Thanks for being here today. I appreciate y'all playing along. I always say that. I know, because it's fun, right? It's fun. All right. We'll see you on the next video. Bye.